Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We are back with our second Rumble of the day. I ate some donuts, watched Rumble 95, went to Home Depot, planted some grass seed, and now here I am back with Royal Rumble 1996. And a lot like Rumble 1995, it's kind of in that weird state of wrestling where the product was so down at the time. I just think that my mind remembers better times. I know I was watching wrestling in January of 1996. I remember some of the things that were going down, but a lot of the people that are in the Rumble just really no clue what is going on with this show. I'm not quite sure. This Royal Rumble 1996 happens in Fresno, California. Sort of shows you where the state is of them booking houses. The place looks, I'll say half full, maybe 60%. But I mean, you're looking when wrestlers are making entrances up in that top of the stadium. You see a lot of orange up there. I'm watching Bret Hart walk to the ring right now, but the business is probably just down. They're just looking at places they can probably go for these shows to just pop a number because really nothing else sort of goes there at that time. But watching this show, I don't really understand why the Rumble itself was not the main event. I understand that Bret Hart versus Yoko was probably a draw for the WWF Championship, but you can tell at this point this company is built around Shawn Michaels. You can tell that Michaels is the guy that Vince wants to go with. He wins his second Rumble in a row. I know we haven't talked about it yet, but and then once he wins that, he goes back to his former trainer, and he's putting in the work. He's really gonna make sure that when he goes to WrestleMania this year, he's gonna achieve his boyhood dream against Bret Hart at WrestleMania. It just I think that WWF they gave the ball to Bret. He had one heck of a run with it. But it just didn't put them where they wanted to, and I think that maybe a little bit more flash, a little bit more showboating, more kind of like a rock and roll atmosphere is what Vince wants by putting Shawn Michaels in charge. This had some forgettable matches on the way to the Royal Rumble. You've got Ahmed Johnson going up against Jeff Jarrett. You've got the Smoking Guns against the Body Donnas. Goldust versus Razor Ramon. This is the angle that led to Razor leaving. Scott Hall going to WCW. He did not like the angle that he was doing with Goldust at all. He thought that he deserved more money. He wanted to be a bigger player in the WWF. He really didn't care about being the main guy, but he definitely knew that he was putting on some of the best matches, and he wanted to be put like in a pay grade. Where he was making more money than he is now. The money these guys were making was probably shrinking because gates were getting smaller and smaller as the fandemonium of wrestling just shrank and shrank and shrank at that time. It wouldn't be until the next pay-per-view that Nash Diesel gives his notice, because he gives his notice because he doesn't like the way Bret Hart is working with him on the In Your House cage match. Not get enough give and take. Bret's saying that he's not going to do things, even though it's not building up their feud. It's building up Undertaker versus Diesel's feud for WrestleMania. Even Undertaker's getting upset at what Bret's saying he's going to do and not going to do. That Nash walks into Vince's office, gives his notice, and that's why when Hall debuts in WCW, that you have to wait a couple of weeks before Nash is the big surprise. They had to wait until his contract actually ended with the WWF. Looking at the actual Royal Rumble itself, Triple H although he is not the form of Triple H that we know as of today. Goes in number 1. He is the guy that lasts the longest. He is the what is the thing that they give the winner of the guy who spends the most time? Like no, not the Millennium Man, but he is the guy that's in there. He spends 48 minutes in the Rumble. They actually give time between each entrant. That makes this one a little bit longer. If you remember when I talked about 95, the Rumble itself was just over 40 minutes long because guys were just coming out, just wham, bam, bam. Triple H and Henry O'Godwin end up being number 1 and number 2. There was a match on the free-for-all where Triple H wrestled against Duke the Dumpster Droese, and Duke the Dumpster Droese got the win via disqualification. That's the reason why Triple H had to go in the Rumble at number 1, and Duke goes in at number 30. Bob Backlund comes in at number 3. Jerry Lawler is in at number 4. There's a lot of just the referees not having control of this match. There's at one point when Jerry Lawler is outside of the ring. Henry O'Godwin throws the bucket of slop on him. And in the melee, Jerry the King Lawler just gets underneath the ring and hides. He ends up spending a lot of time in the Rumble, but a lot of the Rumble, he's just underneath the ring, just hiding underneath the ring skirt, just waiting for the right time to go in and attack. We're met with Bob Holly, King Mabel. Jake the Snake Roberts comes down to this ring, and he has the biggest snake that I've ever seen. It's one of the only times that I've ever seen when he's in the ring, you actually see the snake handler at the ring, and he's running around making sure the snake doesn't get out of the ring. A few times they have to, change the direction because the snake wants no part of being inside of the ring before the snake handler just puts the bag out, and the snake basically just goes right back into the bag, and he knows that's a safe spot that he wants to be in, and he just wants to go in there. After that, we have Dory Funk Jr., we've got Yokozuna, the 1-2-3 Kid, when he makes his entrance. He was the reason why Razor Ramon didn't get the win against Goldust in the match before the Rumble. So Razor, who's not even a competitor, jumps 1-2-3 Kid in the entranceway, makes his way down to the ring, is beating him up inside of the ring, just trying to get vengeance for his loss. The referees are trying their best, but they just can't get the guy out of there. We see a guy, Takeo Omori, who's a Japanese wrestler. I'm not really sure if this was an agreement of like him coming in to maybe have a Japanese wrestler in there to maybe get some people in Japan excited about it, or if he was actually a wrestler that was wrestling for the WWF at the time, but he doesn't spend long in the Rumble. He's in there and out of there in no time at all. After that, we have Vader. This would be the time period when he's making his debut in the WWF, and he comes in and just runs rookshot over the Rumble. I'm pretty sure he's a heel. He's got Jim Cornette with him, but he gets a pop once he comes in, and I think that it was a gift when Vader got released from WCW and he came over to WWF. I think that he would have been a really good champion. I just don't understand why it didn't work out, the matches with him and Shawn Michaels. But at that time, I think Shawn was going to complain whether if he was working with anybody that wasn't in that car with them at the end of the night. If it wasn't Kevin Nash, if it wasn't, Scott Hall, if it wasn't the 1-2-3 Kid, by the time I think the Vader matches happened, two of those guys are wrestling for WCW, and with Shawn's attitude, he probably didn't have a whole lot of friends to be working with in the first place. But it's just like the Young Rock episode with, I forget what they called him. They gave him that fake name. Scott Frost. Chad Frost? I think it's Chad Frost. Just wasn't getting along with anybody, just complaining about anything, any chance he got. We've got Doug Gilbert coming in after him. We have the SWAT team. I don't know why they have him as the squad team. on Wikipedia here. But the SWAT team member number 1 comes down. He gets eliminated right before the next number comes out for number 16, and we're met with squad team member number 2. They make their way into the ring. I know nothing about this tag team. I don't know what their deal was. They didn't spend long in WWF. And if they did, they weren't doing anything memorable at all. But basically, they try to get into the ring together. The referees they don't know which one is legal and which one's not legal because they're twins. And they go in there, they go after Vader. Vader fights one of them off, and the next thing you know, the second one and the first one are eliminated by Vader and Yokozuna. So these guys look like they could have been a force in the Rumble. They're definitely, with Vader and Yokozuna, 2 of the 4 biggest guys in this thing. But their time was not for long. Number 17 ends up being Owen Hart. Number 18 comes down with Shawn Michaels being the lucky number. Hakushi's number 19. Tatanka is number 20. I'll tell you the truth, I don't remember seeing Tatanka in this thing. He only ends up spending 4 minutes in here. Aldo Montoya comes down, number 21. Diesel. Diesel is probably the only guy that has a chance in this. As I said, you can really tell by watching this that Shawn Michaels is going to be the guy to take this. He's kind of the guy that the company is built around. But Diesel, being a former champion, you got to give him respect anytime he gets in there, especially being as big as this guy is. We've got Kama coming up behind him. Stone Cold Steve Austin makes his Rumble debut as the ringmaster. Barry Horowitz at number 25. Fatu comes out to try and change the world at number 26, a.k.a. Rikishi. We've got Isaac Yankem at 27. Marty Jannetty at 28. The British Bulldog at 29. And Duke the Dumpster Droese at number 30. Final 4 ends up being the British Bulldog, Diesel, Shawn Michaels, and who was the 4th one in there? British Bulldog. British Bulldog and Shawn Michaels have the storyline built up from a year ago where they were number 1 and 2. British Bulldog thought he had won the Rumble only to get eliminated because Shawn Michaels was hanging on the ropes and his second foot never touched the floor. They have a fight, and then at one point, Owen Hart, who had been eliminated, comes back down trying to even the score with Shawn Michaels himself. He had his own storyline with Shawn Michaels because when Shawn lost his smile, it was the Owen Hart kick to the head in a match on Monday Night Raw that storyline put him out. And Owen was saying that he wished he would have ended the career of Owen Hart instead of just pushing him to the brink because Shawn was making his return to the Rumble. They actually had a doctor do an interview when they were doing the promos and him say that he thinks that Shawn Michaels is okay to return, but he just wishes that it wouldn't be against 29 other competitors in the Royal Rumble, but he'd be sitting there at ringside to make sure that nothing went wrong. We see Shawn Michaels deliver a super kick to Diesel, kicking him over the top, and then as soon as Diesel hits the floor, Todd Pettengill has a microphone in his face and asking him how he feels about losing the Royal Rumble. And Diesel says something to the effect of, Shawn Michaels only lived because he wanted him to. Diesel gets back into the ring. He looks like he's about to attack him, maybe setting up a match for an In Your House pay-per-view. But instead puts his hand in the air, which leads to them doing the Dudes with Attitude reunion with him slapping hands. But like I said, it's not long for Diesel in the WWF. The next month he would turn in his notice. He would put over Bret Hart in the cage with Undertaker dragging him into the bottom, and then go to WrestleMania where he would lose the match to Undertaker, and then after that, I think he turned down putting over Ultimate Warrior, so that led to him just showing up on Nitro. So Michaels gets the win. It's easily the biggest Rumble win of his career because it sets up him going to WrestleMania 12 and then him actually winning the championship against Bret Hart. So overall, damn good Rumble, damn good match, good stuff.